All right. So, in the wake of the blizzard that affected the upper Midwest, including northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and northern Michigan, we are left in the very cold northwest flow, which is stirring up the lake effect snow machines. As you can see here, there are intense lake effect snow bands coming off of all the lakes right now. And that has prompted the National Weather Service to issue winter storm warnings across all of western Michigan and portions of northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York, including the snowbelt regions of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, where an additional 6+ inches is possible overnight, especially where the bands are most persistent. But the big story is the cold and the wind that we are stuck with right now. And that was due to the blizzard that affected the upper Midwest. The Arctic front pushed through, and now we are in the cold. And we're going to be locked in the cold for a while. All right, let's just take a quick look at the current wind chills. Minneapolis is at -8 degrees Fahrenheit. Des Moines, Iowa is at a balmy 0 degrees. Jefferson City, Missouri is at 12 degrees. And Milwaukee, Wisconsin is at -2, with Chicago being 2 above 0. And Indianapolis is 7 degrees. And same with Columbus, Ohio. And taking a look across the Northeast, the current wind chills, Harrisburg is at 17. It is brutal. Outside is absolutely brutal. I stepped foot outside earlier and it was awful. I mean, my door almost flew off and it was cold. It was a miserable walk into TJ Maxx. I suggest if you don't have to go out, just stay home in the warm. Don't go outside. It is absolutely awful. You don't want to go outside. Syracuse is reporting a wind chill of 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Trenton, New Jersey, 20 degrees. New York City, 25. Boston is at 30. And Augusta, Maine is at 29. So as you can see, this Arctic front really did bring in the cold air. And that is, again, why we are seeing the lake effect snow. Because when you get this cold northwest flow going over the relatively warm lake waters, you get these convective snow bands to form and then flow downwind. And the lake effect snow is going to keep going through the night into tomorrow. And that's why some areas will see an additional 6+ inches of snow. But like I said, especially where the snow bands are most persistent, because that's the thing with lake effect snow. They're very spotty. They're kind of like thunderstorms. One area, you get nothing, and then a mile down the road, you get 6, 12, 18, 24 inches of snow. That's how spotty these things are. So where the snow bands are most persistent through the overnight period, that's where an additional 6 to possibly up to 10 inches of snow is possible through the overnight. Now we're going to take a look at the model forecast for the next few days. All right, so this piece of energy was the one that was associated with that blizzard across the upper Midwest. And that is going to be exiting the area as we continue through the overnight period. And then this piece of energy coming down in from Canada, I'll circle it with my cursor right here. I wish I could circle it with a marker, but I'm using a different recording app, so I haven't figured that out yet, but I'll circle it with my cursor. That's the second piece of energy. That's just going to bring another reinforcement shot of cold air through today, tomorrow into the upper Midwest, and then into the mid-Atlantic. And then I'll show you right here, this other piece of energy coming in late in the week is going to bring another reinforcement shot of cold air. And you get this northwest flow across the northern portion of the U.S. So we are going to be stuck in the cold for quite some time, it looks like. And with the cold, you do get chances of snow. And I want to show you, I do want to show you briefly on, now this is January 9th, so we're pretty far out here. So a lot can change. But January 9th, I want to show you this piece of energy that does dive into the Gulf. And this is not the perfect setup, but you do get the ridge out in the west, which is what you want. You get this piece of energy right here. If you can get it to come out ahead of the northern piece, then you could possibly get a storm up the coast. And you do get somewhat of a coastal storm, but some of the energy gets lost into the southwestern portion of the U.S. You want that energy to get out ahead of the main trough, and a lot of it gets just left behind, which the models do like to do that in advance, like this far out. But I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there is the chance of a snowstorm in the mid-Atlantic and possibly the New England region late next week. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's something to be paying attention to because we do have the cold air. We're going to have the cold air for a while now. And let's see if we can get a storm system to breach that cold air and potentially bring us snow. So something to watch. Just stay with me throughout the next week or so, and I will keep you guys updated if anything changes, if anything comes of it. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, though, but it's something to definitely take a look at. I want to show you here the precipitation map. That's the storm that I was talking to you about, but I want to back this up here just so I can show you the, over the next week first. So this is the first reinforcement shot of cold air that's going to be coming down. You're going to get some snow showers across Wisconsin, across Michigan. It's going to wake up the lake effect snow again, not nearly as much as the last one, but it's still going to wake it up. So decent accumulation is possible in certain areas where the lake effect bands are most persistent. And then you can see the 540 line. It's all the way down into Virginia. We're stuck in the cold for a while. And then I'm going to move this thing along. It kind of quiets down. You still get another clipper system to move through again. And this is early next week. So it brings in some more cold air. And then I want to show you what the surface map looks like for that around January 9th time frame and what I'm talking about. So there's the storm. It's down in the Gulf. And then if you can get that southern piece of energy, if it doesn't get left behind and it gets out ahead of the northern trough, you could possibly get a storm to go up the coast. This one, a lot of the energy gets left behind and it doesn't quite get out ahead of the northern trough. Plus the trough is it's a more positive tilt. You want a negative tilt, but that's why this thing is going more out to sea and not up the coast. But it's something that we want to watch. It's not something that I'm not saying that there's going to be a snowstorm, but what I am saying is there's going to be some energy. They're going to have the cold air in place. So there is the potential for a snowstorm if you can get the cold air to interact with the moisture in the right way. The potential is out there. So just stay tuned. And thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And stay tuned for more updates throughout the week.